failed wars of occupation. The American, one thing you have to understand about these comments is that they come from a profound weakness that America really is unfamiliar with, and Canada is unfamiliar with America being this weak. They can't hold Baghdad. I'm not sure why they think they could hold Montreal, but I mean, they're also being kicked out of Niger, and they are weaker than they've ever been. In a lot of ways, they are extremely fragile as a country. They have absolutely no solidarity. They have absolutely no unity. They are in the middle of dismantling their administrative state. And war is a test fundamentally of the strength of the administrative state. So I think you should take this about as seriously as you would take the ramblings of a crack addict on the subway. I.e., you pay attention to it and you get out of the way and you do what you can. But this is not something to be treated like an actual, something to be thought about. It's just the ramblings of lunacy.
Okay, but he is the president of the United States. He says it over and over again. And so, listen, while he can say that that's what he wants, whether that's what he gets is totally different. But if, just the psychological, I don't know what you want to call it, trauma maybe that it kind of inflicts on Canada, especially, never mind that, the economic turmoil that could be inflicted on this country as of midnight with 25% tariffs, sort of repeating this call, repeating this threat, saying, hey, all this pain that you're suffering, Canadians, it can all be lifted if you become the 51st state. I just wonder about the wear and tear that it could have on Canadians. I'm not saying Canadians are going to just wake up in a week or two and say they want to become the 51st state, but do you know what I mean? Just the kind of
Well, look, I actually think, he's actually managed to make Canadians patriotic for the first time since I can remember. Right? I mean, the defiance of this is actually probably very good for our national identity and our sense of self as a nation. I think obviously there's going to be pain here, but I think, you have to remember, like you say, he's the president of the United States, but the United States is crumbling, right? Like it is like their institutions are falling apart, and what the United States, and this is the really key point for Canadian businesses and people in power to understand, who the United States is at this moment that's not a meaningful phrase. Like you really have to ask yourself, which America are you talking about? Which institutions are you talking about? Because they are not under the guidance of anyone, right? Like, are you actually talking about the U.S. military? Because whether they would do this is actually very, very unclear. And whether the president has the power to do any of that, all he can do right now is destroy. And, the American stock market is falling. Even the threat of this going into place has caused, inflation to raise its head. The American people fired everyone who has caused gas prices to rise almost immediately. They could tolerate almost anything from their political class. War crimes, whatever, but increased gas prices they go crazy for. So it's just very important to understand that this is spoken from a position of profound weakness. I also think, we know what to do here. Like, the strategy is not very complicated. As someone who, attended British boarding school briefly, I feel like I know about bullies, and you just have to hit them as hard as you can and take your lumps right at the start. And that's what we're going to have to do, and there's not really any other choice for it.
What do you make of, a lot of the booing we've heard? It was at an Ottawa Senators game against an American-based team. I can't remember the American-based team, so I'll just do this. Ottawa Senators game, Toronto Raptors game, and a Vancouver Canucks game over the weekend.
Yeah.
Loud booing from the fans.
Well, America's obviously... obviously right now they are our opponents in some silliness, right? I think Canada is anti-American. Like Northrop Frye said that Canadian is an American who rejects the revolution. And we are rejecting what America is going through. America's never been an uglier place to want to become part of. Who would want to be American at this point in history? They're about to start killing each other. There is no question that there is a Canadian rejection of American values and the American government and America itself. And that is a perfectly natural reaction. why wouldn't you reject these people? They're awful.